Hi everyone, Devorah Esther here. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Kosher 2.0. I just want to thank everyone once again for the tremendous and wonderful feedback that everyone gave me for the video that I put out earlier this week entitled, Was It Worth It? You have no idea. It's just been a tremendous hizuk, all the well wishes and the positive reinforcement. So I just want to thank you again. And I also want to just thank Hashem for his wonderful ideas and his terrific advice to me in helping me complete this project, which, you know, if people like it, it's merely just a gauge of whether I was able to translate the idea that I felt Hashem was giving to me over to you guys. So, you know, I always think there's room for improvement, but at any rate, I'm so happy for Hashem's help in allowing me to do it. And I pray that he gives me the ability out of his incredible mercy to do it again. But today, I just want to kind of go on. We were continued on with some of the fun side of natural living and eating. And you know me. I make no secret. I'm always excited about the fun things that and the wisdom that Hashem has put into all His creation. And today we're going to talk a little bit about flower remedies. And flower remedies, while they may not be so well known in mainstream society, people who have been long-time naturalist or just really familiar with the natural setting of things really have heard of these things, and they're quite popular and with very good reason. And the flower remedies, really has a lot of notoriety because of Dr. Bach, who lived back in 1886 through 1936. And he came from a village in England called, I think it's called Moseley, England. He got a diploma from Cambridge, and he was a house surgeon and a casualty officer. And he had worked at the National Temperance Hospital in London for over 20 years. So he really, he has a tremendous, curriculum vitae, or his resume is just very impressive. And for sure, he has had a lot of experience with dealing with not only illness and traumatic illness, but also the emotional effects of people. As you can imagine, when people are ill, their emotional state is really... it's all over the place, and for good reason. A lot of times it is a message to us from Hashem, and it really does give us pause to think and re-examine our life and our road that we're on. And certainly Dr. Bach took notice of that. But he, after so many years, became, kind of disillusioned and dissatisfied with the way doctors were expected to concentrate mainly on disease and just ignore the emotional aspect of the person and the patient suffering from the illness. And he had said something very deep, and I thought it was so deep. And if you stop to think about it, it was just a tremendous statement. He said that symptoms of illness are external expression of negative emotional states, and that he believed that the illness was the effect of disharmony between the body and the mind. And he, had kind of turned away from conventional medicine and decided to focus on this emotional state, and mainly, remedies that were found in flowers. And he went on to develop what he called the helpers, and I believe he made a series of 19 in all. Now, I must say to you, let's always keep in perspective. Because we're talking about emotional state here. And, we're going to talk about remedies that are effective, but always keep in mind that there is never a replacement for working on your midot. Okay? Let me repeat that again. That's really something I want you to take away with. There is never a replacement for working on your midot. There is nothing that compares to when you decide to come closer to Hashem, which in all of my research, in all of my, 40 years or whatever, I have found that is the only true and lasting remedy, is when you are coming close to Hashem. Okay? So while we're going to talk about these flower remedies and what they help with emotionally, just always keep in mind that this is really just something to help you process the information that's coming to you via your life experience the way I used it. And it is not intended to replace that hard work that is necessary to see lasting results. So I just want people to keep in mind, Hashem has many messengers and many ways to get a point across to you. And has v'shalom, that you should have to be going through illness or a disrupted state of well-being. But in that state, you have to know that this is the time that should cause you to re-examine what we're currently doing in our life and see where we can come back to Hashem, which again is the ultimate remedy. It is the only remedy, and it is your cure-all. So, back to Dr. Bach. Now, Dr. Bach, he's very well known for creating this 5-flower blend, which has been extremely popular and is kind of a general remedy for general stresses that are kind of encompass the majority of people's lives. And it's called Rescue Remedy. And he also has something called Sleep Remedy. But Rescue Remedy is extremely powerful in helping to calm you down, and especially when I've mentioned before, I had days where I worked in law and I worked in government simultaneously, and the legislative session has certain times of the month when it's active, and then sometimes it goes on a hiatus. And when it's in session, my life was just like crazy. I would be driving to courts all over the state of Connecticut, and sometimes conducting, three trials in a day. And certainly, when Congress is in session, then you've got to drive up to the capital of Connecticut to kind of lobby these leaders, these senators, to either get your point across to get a bill passed or to not get a bill passed. And, Rescue Remedy. Now, what's funny is that I literally had all 19 helpers in my car, all 19 of the flower remedies in my car on both sides of the car, where it allows you to put some stuff in your doors. And I used them for whatever I knew the day was going to bring. And for whatever I didn't anticipate, Rescue Remedy, the 5-flower blend, always came in my purse. So, and it was just, it really was, very helpful in helping me, like I said before, to process the information that was coming to me via, the experience that Hashem was putting before me. And it helped me to process the information and give me the time to examine it in a more calm manner instead of flying off the handle. A lot of people who know me, and my Rav will tell you, I have a lot of fire. And these days, Baruch Hashem, it's being more concentrated in a more positive manner. But, I had a person, I was very aggressive, because that's the world that I lived in. When you're in politics and you're in the court systems and you're having these trials, you have to be on your A game all the time. And certainly you have to have, it's kill or be killed in that kind of environment. So certainly that took a toll on me. And I needed a way to kind of get through that experience that Hashem was bringing me through, which was really eye-opening. But I had to get through it nonetheless. But you don't have to be in politics or in the courtroom to need to be on your A game. All of us, we need to be on our A game for different reasons. For sure, if you are an IMA, probably more than any of us that you have to be on your A game, because these kids, they'll band together and they'll take you down. So you have to have your A game on in order to deal with the frustrations and the stress of everyday life, and also that you're able to respond back to your family in a more appropriate and positive manner. So those were very helpful for me, because, a lot of us, we go out to work, we do our work, and then we have to return home to do the real work. And so certainly that kind of helped me to get a little bit more on a mellow and more serene playing ground. So I want to just highlight just a few of the flower remedies. Now, again, there's 19 in total, and certainly, there's ways to blend them. You can blend them to kind of give you your own, rescue remedy of sorts. But one of them is called agrimony. And agrimony has been known to deal with temperaments, which are people who are, the people that are always like so jovial and cheerful, and they hate any arguments. They don't like confrontation, which has its, machloket is never a good thing, but sometimes it has its place. And sometimes, certainly, if somebody's, getting ran over, never standing up for themselves when they certainly should be, this could be, something to help them to process that kind of experience. And, another one I wanted to talk about was beach. Now, beach is not like beach that you go to with the ocean. It's BEE, beach. Okay. And those were good for people who needed help to see the beauty all around them. This was good for people who kind of had a very pessimistic attitude and an outlook on everything. Everything was just, going wrong, and so things like Serato, I personally, I like Serato, especially for the experience that I was going through in the legal and the government experience, because, it was for those that didn't have sufficient confidence in themselves to make their own decision. That was the kind of midot that it was known to kind of be best for. And again, when you're, having these meetings with the judicial branch and you're having meetings with the government branch, with the legislative branch, you want, you have to be a very precise decision maker. And sometimes, those kind of things, the ones that I've mentioned so far, it was important for somebody like myself because, politics is all about strength in numbers, obviously, strength in numbers. And sometimes it's not always easy to go against the grain to do what is right. And certainly, there's always, I think every person who goes into politics, I think they're well aware of the day it comes when you're either going to cross the line and go to a place where you shouldn't be going, or you're going to do the right thing. Baruch Hashem, I really, really am grateful to him for helping me always in everything. So, these I really like those remedies during that particular time. And another one that I really like, which is, I laugh now because it just seems, from where I'm standing today, just everything looks so different. And, holly, the flower remedy, holly, was one that it kind of dealt with, when you're feeling attacked or jealous or envy, vengeful or you're very suspicious. Now, I laugh today because, there's everyone goes through phases in their emunah and Hashem. And, in that time, I was going through the phase that, I didn't quite understand that everything good and bad came from Hashem. So certainly, I had a lot of feelings of vengeance and not so happy for other people, especially when you're in politics, because really, I think what probably disillusioned me, much like Dr. Bach, is that it's not really about the people. Sometimes I feel like politicians are not really about the people. They're about themselves and their own agenda, and the agenda of those people that they like or dislike, which is very frustrating, especially given with what's going on today, because I kind of understand what's going on behind the scenes, and but at any rate, they were very helpful for me. And again, there are 19, and I'm not going to go through all 19, but they were very helpful. If you find yourself in a natural store, certainly, Dr. Bach remedies are usually on a display, and they're all labeled. So you can go through, make sure you give yourself a little bit of time to kind of go through. The wonderful thing about it is that you'll be so surprised of the things that they kind of address as far as your the midot that you need to kind of have a little help in processing. But it's well worth it to look through them, and they're all labeled. They all kind of say what they do. But again, these remedies, they're not the cure-all. Okay, I just want to keep repeating that to you. They're not the cure-all. There is no substitution to fixing your midot and for bringing Hashem with you in that process, because He truly is the only cure-all that there is. But again, I'm always so fascinated by the wisdom that He puts in. And I think what fascinates me most is that if you put that much wisdom into the littlest of creation, just imagine how much wisdom He put into us. So I just want to encourage everyone that Hashem is always with you, and you have more power within you than you know, okay? So again, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for everyone, again, for the well wishes. And I pray that everyone should have continued success in their journey. And please do not make yourself crazy on this journey. This is not intended to make everyone crazy. It's just intended to bring awareness and to give you information so that you can have a better, well-balanced decision when you're going out there for whatever you're doing as far as health and wellness. So again, Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for tuning into another edition of Kosher 2.0.